So when we adopt our Lutheran church, we said that we are Christians and why we should follow the Sharia court. As a Christians in the Bible, we say that God treated us equally, and it should be equal between women and men, girls and boys. Sometimes the culture is more powerful than the law.
Welcome to Minority Law to Go, the podcast where we explore the intersection of law, gender, religion, and state power across the Arab world. I'm your host, Dörte Engelke. Today we are delving into the role of women judges and the workings of the ecclesiastical courts in Palestine. I'm honored to be joined by Scarlet Bishara. Scarlet is the first female judge who sits on an ecclesiastical court in the Arab world. She had previously worked as a lawyer, and she's also a human rights activist and researcher. Scarlet, thank you for being here. Welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan. Scarlet, you are the first female judge to serve on the court of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land. Many of our listeners might be surprised to learn that church courts exist and operate in Arab countries. Could you walk us through how this particular court functions? Who are the judges? What kind of educational background do they typically have? How are they appointed? And finally, what is the role of the state in organizing the courts?
Talking about Palestine, the legal system is very complicated due to the authorities that were in Palestine, starting from Ottoman Empire, following by British mandate, and then Egyptian and Jordanian administration, and then Israeli occupation. And then comes the Palestinians authority after Oslo Convention. Every authority in Palestine, they bring their rules and regulations. This means that every authority put their regulations. So now we have mixed of these laws. In the time of Ottoman Empire, Christians were treated as minorities or millah, and they were given like a kind of authority to have their regulations and especially family laws. Every church who were known in Palestine in these times, they were given like this authority. So after that, we have the Jordanian law for non-Christian communities. In this law, which implemented in the West Bank in Palestine in 1958, so they give the authority for each church who were recognized from the king in Jordan, that they can have their ecclesiastical courts and they can have their family laws, which implemented in their members.
And how do I have to imagine your court? Do I go to church, and then I know it from Jordan that you go to church, and then often next to the church is the courtroom where the priest would also act as a judge?
Yeah, we have like 13 churches. We have 6 ecclesiastical courts, and we have 11 personal status law or family law for the churches. Now, they can open an ecclesiastical court. They have the ability, because not always the churches have the ability, because the churches doesn't have a lot of support. So the church who have ability, that they can establish ecclesiastical court. That's why we have 13 churches, but we have 6 ecclesiastical courts. So the courts are in 2 stages. We have the first instance, and we have the appeal court. So the judges in these, like the Lutheran, we have 3 judges in every court. The president of court should be a pastor. And the appeal court, he should be the bishop. And the other judges, they are lays or lawyers. So we have mixed priests and lawyers. For the other Christians or for the other churches, in the first instance, they have only one judge. In the appeal court, they have 3. Most of the judges, they are priests.
So most of them are theologians and not trained jurists.
Yes. And now, after we took, as a Lutheran church, this step to establish an ecclesiastical court which have 2 kinds of judges, priests and theological people, and also lawyers who studied law. So the Orthodox Church in Jordan, they took 2 years ago this important step, which is, as a Lutheran, we were positive model for the other churches. The ecclesiastical court, as you said, it's a room in the church or in the buildings of the churches. It should be in Jerusalem for the Lutheran Church, but because we don't have permission for all the lawyers, so we have to make the sessions in Bethlehem area.
Our work is always personal. What made you become a judge?
I was a lawyer since 25 years. I was a legal advisor for a shelter. I defend a woman in suffers from domestic violence for a long year. And also I have a law degree. And also I have the authority to go to Sharia courts and other churches. So I have this degree. And also I am from the Lutheran Church. So all these things, the criteria, the experience, the degree of law, and because I am from the Lutheran Church, they appointed me.
Yes. And how has the community reacted to seeing the first female judge being appointed and your fellow judges?
Yeah, in our church, they were very happy because they know me. I helped a lot in the church and giving legal advice for our members. The other judges, they were very happy and supportive because I was in the committee also who put the draft of the Lutheran Church personal status law. We were in this procedures and they know me very well as an experienced woman who deserve this place.
You've been an advocate for family and inheritance law reform within your community and beyond. What areas do you see in need of reform?
There is a lot of challenges in the personal status law in the ecclesiastical courts. For example, most of the churches, since years, they share the inheritance according to Sharia law. As Christians in the Bible, we say that God treated us equally. So we should treat our members equally. So from that point of view, we said that we have to implement inheritance and it should be equal between women and men, girls and boys. After we adopt this, we see that we encourage other churches to take this step.
But that wasn't without controversy, even within your own church. So, as you said, the Christian communities, until you issued your law in 2015, had applied the Islamic family law.
Yes.
And the other Christian communities still do.
Yeah.
And the Islamic family law assigns unequal shares for males and females of the same degree of kinship in most cases.
Yeah.
So, was there opposition within your church to declaring male and female heirs equal?
Yeah, it was a little bit challenging because when we put the draft and we discussed this issue between the synod and our members, it was really challenging the inheritance and divorce. Inheritance, because most of families, they have lands and they own lands. And lands, it means power. And lands, it means authority. So when we discuss this, they think that if I have daughters and they will inherit the same shares like the boys, some of this land will go to the daughters, and maybe they will marry to another family. So some of this land will go to another strange family. So they didn't want that. All the time we have to discuss this issue. We couldn't succeed without making like a lot of meetings with our members and the bishop and the pastors, because they are very religious, the Christians. They believe in God and in Bible. So we took this issue and explained them that God wants us to be equal, and this is some articles from the Bible, he said that and that. So we did a lot of talking about this issue, and priests were talking and the pastors were talking in the church in every Sunday. After a month or 2 months, they were a little bit convinced, and they were not against this issue of inheritance. So they were convinced that it was better for all, not only for women or girls.
And what has been your experience? So as you said, often women do not inherit land, or if they do, they renounce their inheritance shares in favor of their brothers.
Yeah.
Now you have this new inheritance law that stipulates that men and women receive equal shares. What has been your experience in the courts? Has this caused controversy? Are people abiding by it? Have they found ways to circumvent the law?
Thank God that our members, after we adopt this family law, which based on gender justice, they were very proud. In the beginning, they were against, and we took 2 years to convince them to adopt this draft. But after that, they were very proud, and they were like talking to other churches that we are the first the first church who has same inheritance, and we have gender justice and equality. When people come to the ecclesiastical court, in my experience in more than 11 years, we didn't have any challenges in this. They were very happy that women also take the same shares and inherit. Sometimes the culture is more powerful than the law, which means we have like takharuj, that some of the brothers try to convince our sisters that I can pay you money and don't own some of the land.
So takharuj is a process where a person renounces their inheritance share in favor of, often in practice, their brothers or other male relatives.
Exactly. So what we do, because we don't want to let women under pressure, we try to don't accept any takharuj in the ecclesiastical court only after the father died after 6 months. Daughters will be sad and they were in a very bad situation. So sometimes they can't think, so they go and give all the brothers all their shares. So that's why we try to make the procedures after 6 months, so they are in a good position and they can think. And when they come to the ecclesiastical court, we always ask about, are you sure you want to give your brother? Try to think another time. Did you get your money? What do you think to delay this session to another month? So you will think more and more. And when we are surely they want, we did the procedures.
You also mentioned that divorce is controversial. Can you explain why?
Because in the Bible also said that what God let the two men and women together, nobody can separate them or divorce them. So we, the Christians or the Lutherans, they are believe in these texts. When we see that a lot of problems happened between wives and husbands, and we have a lot of stories, they were suffering, like women suffers from a husband who is violence, or he's addicted to alcohol or drugs, or he beated and hurt her and the children. So the church stop, and they can't do anything because there isn't any articles about divorce. Only there were like separation. So they separate them for 2 years, and then they come back and they separate them another 2 years, trying to let the family together. In many times, this can't work. There is an effect in the marriage. Divorce them is better for the family and for the children. So that's why we think that we should put some articles about this issue, but it's not easy. So we have to have like evidence and procedures to be sure that they can't be together. When we put this draft in the committee and we wanted to discuss this with our members in the synod, it was like revolution. Oh, you are destroying our families, you are destroying our church. You want to put divorce? Will not be possible. Look at the Catholic Church, look at this church. We will not accept that. And some of the members, they were angry that they went out of the meeting. They didn't want to hear more. So we thought, how can we continue in this discussion? We think together with the bishop and with the pastors, how can we work on that issues, because it's necessary to put it, because we see many cases. So as we did with the inheritance, we did with the divorce. We started to talk about this issue from the Bible and from the theological issues, to convince our members that it's very important. We have cases. God wants our family be fine and not suffers. After these meetings and talking in the Sunday church, they started to be a little bit convinced. And in 2015, they agreed, and it was a historical moment for us to agree on these things. Yeah.
Interesting. And before 2015, when it was very difficult to divorce, did you have many cases of people converting to Islam? Because, of course, it's much easier to divorce through the Sharia courts, because Islamic law allows multiple ways for women and men to divorce.
Yeah, that's true. We have challenge in converting from Christian to Islam, because the husband want to escape from his obligations in the ecclesiastical court. Sometimes there is cases in custody, alimony, or separation or something. So he tried to escape. So he go and convert to Islam. This is very dangerous cases. Why? Because the children under 18 years, there will be automatically as their father. They will be Islam. For the family, the Christian family, and for the boys or the children, they will suffer a lot, because they were baptism, they were in Sunday schools, they go to the church, and suddenly you tell them that you became Muslims. This will affect their life.
As you said, there are issues with access to justice, and putting in place a legal aid system will help to overcome some of those challenges.
Yeah.
But of course, adjudication doesn't happen in a vacuum. So how have war and conflict, like the war in Iraq and Syria, the influx of refugees, and the ongoing occupation in the West Bank affected the workings of the court?
I want to say that when 7th of October war happened on Gaza, we were a little bit, as a church, shocked. How can we work and help our people as a church, as a religious leaders? So we think together, and we see that we should make a research and document what is happening there. especially to talk about the effective of this war on women and girls. We started to write this research, but we couldn't write it in a good way because the numbers of people who are killed every hour, especially women, were very quickly that every day we put some statistics and we change it the other day. So it was really difficult and a really challenge. So we decided that we want to put a period of time that we will talk about. Second, we said that we want to talk about two scenarios because after war, all the courts were bombed, damaged, all the houses, people living in tents, they are crowded, without food, without electricity, without hospitals, without medicine. It was awful, really. So many mothers, Palestinian mothers in Gaza, they let the girls under 18 marriage. There is a lot of child marriage because of the war, because they don't find security. So they want to find like a husband to protect these girls. This will affect negatively the girls afterwards. Second, we talk about losing documentations. Because of the war and everything were damaged, all the documents of women, they were lost. So women doesn't have certificates, passports, ID. If you think of that, they can't travel. They can't continue, if they are girls, they can't go and continue the school. They can't go and continue university. They even can't go to the UNRWA because they have to have a document to ask for food or water, clean water, or all the things. In many cases, women who doesn't have these documentation, they will be threatened or they will use them for illegal things. So it's very important to highlight these issues for our Palestinian Authority and for stakeholders. After we publish this research, the Women Ministry of Affairs, she took the recommendation and she took all the scenarios and tried to go to the president of the Palestinian Authority and try to find solutions. How can they send some judges for Egypt or Jordan or even for Gaza? How they can help from the embassies in different countries, the Palestinian embassies, to try to help people to give them certificates and give them like passports or documents so they can travel or go for treatment. So our research is very important. What we work is very important because now all our society, especially the stakeholders and especially the ministers, they know that we are experts. And because we are judges, and we have a long experience, we can see the situation from another perspective. So they are waiting our recommendation and they wait our researchers to work on that issues. This is very important.
Scarlett, thank you for sharing your experience, such a rich and unique perspective. Thank you for being here and taking the time.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.